All right, I'm gonna start today with a question that I need. I'm gonna try and lead you to an answer to, but it's gonna start off as question.
Okay,
so
with you so far.
Tell me the name, or I'm gonna explain a situation to you and then pose the question.
Okay.
So like, what if there was like a pretty big video game company, right? And they're like, well, let's make a different kind of video game. We're normally known for making really beloved AAA games that like household names.
All right. Do you want to talk about Harmonite or do you want to talk about Town?
Neither.
Oh. Jumping the gun pretty hard there.
Jumping the gun. All roads do lead to Pokemon, but not this one.
Okay.
Not yet, at least. And so they kind of go all out with their marketing budget for this game. They get like celebrities in the commercials. They like kind of plaster it all over. They market it for like everybody. And then the game does actually really well. The game does well enough for it to get a sequel on a home console. And that one doesn't do as well. They don't really get the celebrity marketing for it. It doesn't sell quite as well as they had hoped. So they make one more game for the 3DS, and then it's been dormant ever since. And it's a really beloved series by people who have played it, but it seems that the parent company has no use for it anymore.
That's always very sad.
Yeah. You looked very sad when I explained it to you.
Yeah, well, because that sucks.
Yeah.
How many good ideas have we seen thrown in the trash for, like, reasons that weren't their fault?
Yeah, and especially with how much love they gave to the first one and that working out and the game selling very well.
Yeah, why not just retrace your steps and try again? Like, when you have an origin point that worked and a sequel that didn't, you still have stuff to work with.
Especially when that's kind of the theme of the game. And the game is Rhythm Heaven. It's a game about trying again until you get it. Where the failure screens aren't like negative. They egg you on into trying it again, and they give you little pointers.
I was under the impression that there were way more Rhythm Heaven games than that.
No.
Oh.
There's one for the GBA that we didn't get, but we were never going to get it to begin with. So there was the one for the DS, which had Beyonce in the commercials.
Oh. That's what you meant by us. Okay, I was unaware of that.
No, yeah, they advertised Rhythm Heaven 3DS, or not 3DS, for the DS a lot, and it sold really well because Beyonce was on the ads. And then Rhythm Heaven Wii came out for Rhythm Heaven Fever, and it didn't sell at all, almost.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's such a good game.
It's a very good game, but they didn't advertise it very well. And the advertising they did do for it showed it off in a pretty negative light because it's a Wii game with no 3D graphics. So it's kind of a hard sell for a majority of the the general public Wii demographic. I think if they got some more celebrities playing it, I think it honestly would have done a lot better, given that a majority of the Wii owners were like average people.
Wow.
Who weren't going to buy some weird cartoon game.
Wait, what? Wii owners that weren't going to buy some weird cartoon game?
Yeah. Because think about it. Rhythm Heaven, if you're just watching it, looks weird. There's no HUD. It's just a monkey tap dancing, or like a cat playing badminton, or a fork. Like, it looks weird.
I see. Fevered Mix 10 is also the only distinct memory you have on hand for Rhythm Heaven.
Well, Mix 10 has every game in it. The final remix is every single game from the whole... Like, every minigame in Rhythm Heaven Fever is part of Remix 10.
Well, yeah, but that's just Fever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm describing Fever because I think if I showed a video of Fever to, like, the average Wii owner at the time, they would have been like, I'm not buying this. Like,
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, like, I think if they would have shown, I don't know, whoever was popular in 2011, I don't know who that was.
Barack Obama?
Sure. If Barack Obama was on the Rhythm Heaven Fever commercial, I think it would have sold a lot better. But, and then, so Rhythm Heaven Fever doesn't sell very well. They've got one more in them, and they do it for the 3DS. We never get a physical release of that game. We only get it digitally. And the localization budget was almost non-existent.
Oh.
So in Rhythm Heaven Fever, the Wii version, there were 4 vocal songs. There were 4 songs with vocals. Because the budget was a lot bigger for the localization of it, we got localized versions of those songs in English.
Yeah.
In Rhythm Heaven for 3DS, there are 4 vocal songs. We got one of them in English because it was recorded in Japanese and English at the same time, and then the other 3 weren't even translated. They just took the lyrics out entirely. They didn't even give us the Japanese song. It's the lyrics are just gone, replaced with MIDI instruments.
Oh.
Because the localization budget was like, well, we can't afford to have anybody translate and record a new song, and if it's too Japanese, no one's gonna buy it.
Is that really still the mentality?
I think it was. And so that's what happened. And now I don't think we're gonna get another Rhythm Heaven ever again. Because the team that was responsible for it was dissolved. The main vocalist and music writer for it, I was mistaken earlier, like a couple of years ago, I thought he was dead. He's not dead. But he did have throat cancer, and to fix it, he had to get his vocal cords removed.
Oh.
So he can't sing anymore.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The Rhythm Heaven series is kind of cursed.
Dude.
But I love it to death.
Yeah. And I've had lots of friends who have been big Rhythm Heaven fans. I've played the Wii Rhythm Heaven game at several people's houses. And to learn all of this is so... Like, you're breaking my heart. I didn't know any of this.
Welcome.
I'm just sitting here like, oh boy, I can't wait for another Rhythm Heaven game whenever that comes out. You know, like back burner kind of expectations, but...
Nope. So welcome. Welcome to the truth of the Rhythm Heaven series. A series marred by poor localization, poor care, and now termination. And welcome to the It's Still Cool podcast, where my name is Tony.
And my name is Jesse.
And on this podcast, we talk about things that are still cool even if their current situation is very dire. Like the Rhythm Heaven series. So, listeners, if you've never played a Rhythm Heaven game, please go emulate Rhythm Heaven for the DS or Rhythm Heaven Fever for the Wii, because those games very much deserve your time. And now that I bring this up, I wanted to kind of like... I wanted to take this in either one of 2 directions. I can either explain more about Rhythm Heaven and this cursed idea that still floats in my head, or I wanted to bounce it to you and ask if there were any games that languish in non-development hell for you that you care about deeply.
Gee, I mean, off the top of my head, you know, I'm still waiting for Pikmin and Metroid Prime 4.
Those are the big ones. Those are the very big ones.
But yeah, I'm sure if I thought for a minute, again, like I'm sure if I thought for a minute, which I feel like I have to say every time you pose what's your experience with this? Well, I don't know. I've never been to a convention.
I don't know. I've never played with them before.
Yeah.
I barely know her.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I guess the closest thing I could think of off the top of my head is... Believe it or not, Bionicle's reboot.
Oh, yeah. This is something I actually don't know a lot about.
So, dear listeners, for any of you who don't already know me in person, which is in our pretty much our entire listener base, if I understand correctly, Bionicle was a Lego IP and tremendous gamble that went from 2001 to 2010 initially and saved Lego from bankruptcy and then and then turned into a financial liability for them. So it was canceled. It got an ending, got a good ending in my opinion.
Yeah.
A little rushed, but good. And then it was over.
Yep.
And 2011 and 2012 and 2013 went by, and then at the tail end of 2014, some leaks came out using like the original names of the 6 original heroes from the original Bionicle, right?
Okay.
And sure enough, Lego was bringing Bionicle back. But a series that lasted 10 years, you can imagine this was a series that had a lot of care and depth put into it, right?
And not a lot of series always get a good ending.
Yeah.
So when Bionicle gets a good ending, that's kind of in the minority.
And Lego fought for a good ending because this was a series they cared a lot about. You know, just not to get too into it, but
They say it saved them from bankruptcy.
Yeah, and the marketing for Bionicle in 2001 was absolutely insane. There were no rules. They did everything.
And this was in 2001 where internet was still fairly new.
Yeah.
But here's a whole online game for free to advertise the toys.
They had themed vehicles go around, like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile or the Rickmobile or the Pikachu bugs.
Yeah.
To distribute Bionicle stuff. I went to Bionicle like meetups in Zany Brainy, which is
I know that one.
a store that some of you may know. And so the reboot comes around, and as we're starting to get character profiles and information, it's very much like Bionicle Go.
Oh boy.
Or Bionicle Roar.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the character profiles were very like Saturday morning caricatures
so
of
one
the
of them
characters.
was Leonardo and one of them was Donatello and
Well, so like in the for instance, one of the dumber character changes, there was like Gali, the Toa of Water, who was like in the original series, she was the patient, wise, unite the group, like
she was the glue holding it together.
Exactly, and she was very much just like a very straight played character, but she wasn't like awkward or weird or anything. She fit in with her world, and her profile in the reboot states that she just can't tell a joke right.
That's her defining trait.
Kopaka, the Toa of Ice, is clumsy. Pohatu, the Toa of Stone, is afraid of the dark. Onua, the Toa of Earth, is sleepy.
That's just one of the seven dwarves.
You can find. Yeah, I know, right? You can find Onua deep in the caves meditating and ... all caps snoring. These were some top-notch character profiles. But so okay.
Written by Paul Marketing himself.
Paul Marketing, CEO of marketing.
Paul Marketing himself.
So just to get to the point, the connection here, because I could go on about Bionicle forever, and you'll give me an episode for that, I'm sure.
Yes, one of these days. Not yet.
Not yet.
Keep a lid on it for now.
Today is not the day. So, like I said, the original Bionicle series had insane marketing, like throughout its entire run. In 2007, they literally put a band together made of Lego's own employees to promote the series, and that band is still together to this day!
They did it.
That's Cryo Shell, for anyone who's interested. Great music. And I say that with a straight, like, completely seriously. It's actually good music. It's surreal.
Yeah.
So, the marketing was not great. There was almost no promotion for it. It was goofier. It was super disorganized. Like, there were Flash animations, there were comics, and there were novels that were coming out. And all of them were kind of all over the place with the content. They were all kind of their own
continuity?
Well, not... It didn't get that bad until...
until...
So it's just that the Flash animations were all voiced by one guy, and it was almost like a storybook kind of thing. Everyone was voiced by one guy, and he was also the narrator.
That kind of worked.
It worked. It was fine.
Yeah.
But then, like, the first novel is like a word-for-word redoing of that with the same, like, dry delivery from the characters, the same, like... bare bones dialogue.
Okay, this is not good.
No, it's very bad. Yeah, the dialogue was just
there's no flavor here.
It's none. It's very dry. It's very basic. Now, so some of the bits were actually really funny. There's this scene where they're Kopaka and Tahu, the Toa of Ice and Toa of Fire, already hate each other like immediately, and so they come under attack from snipers on these walls, and they're like, Tahu goes, "We're under fire," and Kopaka just goes, "I hate fire." And it's funny, but it's...
That's like nothing still.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good moment in a sea of nothing.
Right, and the rest of the dialogue is just bad, and it's all just lifted from that for the book. And then...
The comic
did a little bit of backstory, and then actually the second and third... Like, the second novel was a whole side story of what was happening while the main story was happening...
See,
which was
cool.
The
novel's for.
Right.
The novel is supposed to be something that we don't already see.
But then they made a Netflix series for 2016, and not only was the show just like not good, it pretty much abandoned most of the established character of the Flash animations and books.
Oh boy.
And it was like, so while like all the initial stuff was sort of all on the same page, the roadmap branching outward, no two projects had the same feel to them. And so they didn't sell well, the Netflix series was bad, and they just canceled it. They just canceled it. After 2 years, it was over. We got 4 waves of sets, two episode seasons of a Netflix series.
The Netflix series, hold on. You mean to tell me that this Netflix series that they commissioned or paid whoever for each season was only 2 episodes?
Okay, so technically the first episode the first season was 3 episodes, but that first episode is CG characters, a CG narrator retelling the Flash animations with scenes from the Flash animations. Oh my god,
again.
Yes.
The Flash animations are back for a third time.
With not enough changes to make it interesting, but just enough changes to make it inconsistent.
And so you mean to tell me that the actual episodes of the show, the seasons, quote unquote, were 2 episodes each?
Yes, essentially.
That's just an hour-long OVA.
Right.
Like, that's not a season.
They just didn't. It didn't have the same heart. It didn't have the same spirit. In the Bionicle episode that is coming, I'm sure, I will go into detail about like how beautiful Bionicle's original run was, how unnecessary the amount of work that went in to make it something special was.
Yeah.
But the reboot was just
awful.
And I think a lot of fans say that LEGO was kind of riding on the old fans to promote it. And I don't know if that's true, but it
sounds like it.
It seems like LEGO did not have all cylinders firing, did not have all their chips in the basket, whatever the expressions are.
They were holding back because they're like, well, we don't need to fully invest here. We don't need to pay Paul Marketing all of our money because the fans will do our job for us. The fans who have been with us for the 10-year run of the original series, they'll come crawling back. And they didn't because it was bad.
Well, I bought every set in the series because I was an adult with adult money now, as opposed to when like Bionicle's second half of its first run.
You're not going to share that with other people if it's bad.
Yeah, and it was really disappointing. I was actually working at the video game bar Endgame at the time, and I straight up like brought in my laptop, brought in some of the figures, set myself up at the bar, and I played those Flash animations on loop all night. And I talked to people about the series. And I was like, yeah, the Netflix series is dropping tomorrow. Check it out. And I watched it, and I was like, God, I can't believe I told people to watch this.
Yeah.
It was
very
bad.
And then you're never going to recommend it to anybody ever again.
Yeah.
And that's the opposite of what they wanted.
Even like friends of mine who relish in bad media were just bored by the Netflix series.
Because it wasn't too bad to be good, like Sharknado or whatever, or Birdemic. Like, it was just bad.
God, the pacing is so awful. The characters stand around doing nothing for like minutes at a time. The dialogue is super disjointed. None of the jokes land. The dialogue is super plastic. No pun intended, but like, God damn. God damn.
But yeah, it sounds like a similar boat to what Rhythm Heaven in, not beat for beat, but
was that also a pun?
Oh no. Oh yeah, I guess so. That's actually what it's called in Europe. The Rhythm Heaven as a series has 4 different names depending on where you live.
Oh.
In America, it's Rhythm Heaven. In Japan, it's Rhythm Tengoku, which is just Rhythm Heaven, but a different name. In Europe, it's Beat the Beat Rhythm Paradise.
Why?
I don't know. And I don't know what the Korean name is, but it is a different 4th name.
Good gravy.
But yes, so not the same beats as the Bionicle story, but yeah, Rhythm Heaven is just in the same boat. And now I'm not sure LEGO is going to do anything with Bionicle ever again.
Well, here's the thing. Here was my takeaway.
Okay.
Like, as much as the fans dump on the reboot,
okay,
I still loved most of it. I loved what effort was put in, and the toys were really good.
Okay.
They did it for us. They did it for the fans. They saw that Bionicle was still living on in its fans, and I believe truly that they did it for us.
Okay.
Lego doesn't need Bionicle.
No.
Ninjago...
They have Harry Potter now.
Well, Ninjago does everything Bionicle did for Lego, but easier and better for its target market.
Because they don't need to make huge, unique models. They're all minifigs.
And Ninjago is much more of like that actual like Saturday morning cartoon kind of style. It doesn't need to get needlessly complicated.
Yeah, it's American Naruto.
And its target demographic, the kids.
Yeah.
You know, new kids can continue to get into Ninjago. It's more accessible.
Yeah.
Bionicle was a multimedia franchise. There are literally parts of the story that you only get from that 2001 Flash game. It's that's just it. Like, so when Bionicle wasn't doing well, Lego wasn't trying to save it because they have Ninjago, and we're probably never going to get official Bionicle ever again. What it sounds like
is, they did it for the fans, but because they were doing it for the fans and not out of desperation for their dying company, they didn't put 100% of their resources into it. So they started making the toys, and maybe the toys were meeting a really high quality standard, but for the world building and for this Netflix series and these novels, they were like, just do it. Throw some money at it. Do you guys want to quality test this? Nah, just put it out there. They're gonna love it. It's like,
I think we had it all but confirmed, maybe even 100% confirmed, that the writing team there wasn't a story bible, there wasn't a roadmap for what to do with the series. So,
and I think likewise for Nintendo, like Rhythm Heaven DS sells really well, so they make a Wii game for it. The Wii game tanks, and they're like, well, we don't really need Rhythm Heaven, we don't. But Nintendo is notorious for giving their IPs one final shot, and so the studio, like the subdivision of Nintendo that was responsible for games like WarioWare and Rhythm Heaven, had one final chance with the 3DS version, and that one just didn't do well either. It didn't help that in North America it didn't even get a physical release.
Yeah. So,
that's even making it even more of a niche than it already was. And then after that, they're like, just pull the plug on this studio. The studio isn't performing. We don't need WarioWare, and we don't need Rhythm Heaven. And so now Wario doesn't have a game series anymore?
Despite him having the appearance and emblem for it in Smash.
Yeah, despite most of his Smash identity being based off of WarioWare, WarioWare is not going to be a series anymore.
This is also an extreme blow to me tonight.
Yeah, and the WarioWare series and the Rhythm Heaven series are hand in hand. They have crossovers all the time. And so fans have lovingly dubbed it the Made in Heaven series. Because in Japan, WarioWare is called Made in Wario. Because they're micro games and they're made by Wario, so Made in Wario and Rhythm Heaven, Made in Heaven.
But the heaven part isn't in the Japanese.
Well, no, Tengoku. Part of the characters that make up the word Tengoku is the character for heaven.
Okay.
So Made in Heaven is the overarching series. Neither of which are probably ever going to get a game again, which is very depressing because I also very much love WarioWare.
Right. WarioWare has an unnecessary amount of personality in it, dude.
And it's not like it did badly until very recently either. Like, the Wii game for WarioWare did really well.
That game was a blast.
And it was one of the first games to come out for the system that fully utilized the Wii Remote.
God, did it, boy, man. Wow, that was such an intricate game, and it mostly worked fine.
WarioWare was a game I was so excited about that I would bring it to school and, like you did with your laptop with the Bionicles, I would bring WarioWare to my high school, and after class, I would be like, you guys need to play this video game.
That's incredible.
Look at this weird video game. Put your Wii Remote on your nose like an elephant. It was so great, and there was so much love and care put into these games. Like you said, like WarioWare has so much unnecessary personality. Rhythm Heaven has the same amount of personality in it.
Yeah,
it's incredible, and I love it a lot. and it just sucks to see it like anguishing now, especially because we were so close to having it immortalized. So, how often did you play Smash Run on Smash Brothers for 3DS?
Oh boy, you mean the
Kirby's
Kirby Air Ride City
Kirby's
Trial
Air Ride,
spiritual
City
successor
Trial,
that we've
in
always
Smash.
asked for?
Yes. How often did you play it?
I definitely milked that for as much as I could,
All right.
especially when I heard that we wouldn't be getting a version of it in the Wii U.
There are 3 enemies in the Smash Run mode. Listeners, Smash Run was a mode for Smash Brothers for the 3DS.
But not for the Wii U.
Not for the Wii U, specific for the 3DS, because they're 2 separate games. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Nintendo wants you to know that there are 2 specific different games. The 3DS version of this mode called Smash Run, where you're in this big map and you're competing against 3 most of the time computer-controlled characters, and you run around and you kill monsters or creatures or enemies from all different kinds of Nintendo games of characters that are represented in Smash. And you pick up power-ups, and at the end you do some sort of challenge. You either fight, or you try and climb a big platforming challenge, or you race to the finish. It's a very fun mode. But there are 3 characters in this mode that are like 3 NPC like monsters that you defeat that are not from games that are represented by a character in Smash Brothers. 2 of them are Namco properties. One's like a creature from Xevious, which like you can't kill. It's just like a bunch of pixels that fall from the sky.
Oh.
And one is the Dig Dug thing. Like the thing that you inflate like and blow up in Dig Dug. But those are Namco related because not only did Namco work on these games, but Pac-Man is also in it. So they're counted as Pac-Man villains. And the other one is a character from Rhythm Heaven, the Sneaky Spirit.
Oh yeah.
He's a little ghost that is stuck along the ground, and he'll go whack 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 whack, and he's really difficult to kill because he's really sneaky. But if you kill him, he normally gives you an all stat up. So he's actually very important. But there's no Rhythm Heaven rep in Smash Brothers, and so he's the only Nintendo character in the Smash Run mode from a game that is not represented by a character. Well, they did some data mining in Smash for 3DS, and there is an unused icon data. Like, you know how every character in Smash has an icon, like Mario's is the mushroom?
Yeah.
There's one called Heaven.
Oh.
So there, up until probably mid-development, there was going to be a Rhythm Heaven character in Smash Brothers.
Oh.
And so they cut the character, but they still had Sneaky Spirit in Smash Run. And so we almost would have got... And if he was in Smash for 3DS, you know he would have been in Ultimate, because in Ultimate everyone's here. So we could have had a Rhythm Heaven guy. And that would have been enough. But we're not gonna... I don't think our last Fighters Pass characters are going to be a Rhythm Heaven character. Yeah, I'll bet money on that. As much as I would want it to be some weirdo from Rhythm Heaven, I really don't think it's going to be.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Sometimes that's just how it be. And I can only imagine what it's like being an F-Zero fan.
Oh, you mean me?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said Nintendo doesn't need Rhythm Heaven, I thought,
Nintendo doesn't need F-Zero either.
They have Mario Kart.
Mario Kart will just do F-Zero's job for it, won't it?
It won't. And it can't.
It's trying.
It sure is trying.
They put 200cc in Mario Kart
They put
8.
200cc and floating.
And 2 F-Zero courses.
Yep.
And the Blue Falcon. And the Captain Falcon Me outfit.
I miss my stupid, weird, futuristic,
Where did you start
inaudible...
with F-Zero?
Okay. Super Smash Brothers, like everyone else.
Oh, okay.
But I went out of my way to rent F-Zero X from Blockbuster.
Ooh, on the Nintendo 64.
And it was a blast. And then when I heard that F-Zero GX was coming out at the same time as Sonic Adventure DX,
Yep,
which
two
made
X's.
my dad very unhappy with all the money he would have to be spending.
Yep.
And he'd never held any grudge for our video
Yeah.
game addiction, I think.
I don't think you can be addicted at that young age of video games. I think they're just a hobby.
I guess so. And so, yeah, no, so we went to the Fry's Electronics, which now is also going
Also
away.
gone. So long, Fry's. I loved your architectural design.
And, yeah, F-Zero GX was a ton of fun. We played a lot of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say that, like, I've played 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 of the main ones.
And I've actually played the AX arcade cabinet, too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, went out of my way to find one and play it.
That's incredible.
Right?
What was that like?
It was cool.
Ooh.
It was very cool. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that there was F-Zero representation in an arcade.
Yeah.
And now there isn't F-Zero representation anywhere.
You know what else is an arcade game? Rhythm Heaven.
I know. And that's how I know Rhythm Heaven originally.
Because it also has an arcade game.
Yeah. And I think that's why I thought there were more, because I thought there were several Rhythm Heaven arcade cabinets.
Nope, there's just the one, and the one that there is just the GBA game.
Oh. Huh.
Yep. But speaking of F-Zero, I never played X. I played the SNES version, surprisingly. It's kind of fun, actually. Like, it's really difficult, but like in
I'm sure.
But in like a Super Castlevania way, where like you want to keep playing it instead of like I'm done with this after one playthrough.
So it's challenging, but not like broken.
But yeah, GX. Even though I wasn't super into F-Zero, when GX was coming out, I was really excited for it.
Yeah,
because it looked really cool.
It's got such a nice aesthetic.
It's not just aesthetic, it's like attitude.
Yeah.
Like F-Zero GX has an attitude that I don't think any other Nintendo game has. Where like it knows precisely how cool it is at every given moment. Like and it's also unapologetically hard. And I really enjoy that in a game.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten one since, and I don't understand.
Every single one of the characters, of the racers in F-Zero GX has a theme song. Several of them are vocal tracks. Captain Falcon has a vocal theme song.
Yeah, he does.
It's not in Smash.
Nope. Barely any GX music is in Smash.
I gotta revisit that soundtrack, because that song, like, it'll tug at me every once in a while. I can barely remember, but it's just a very, like, emotional, like, sweet, uplifting, motivational song.
And like the story mode in that game is insane. Like, I think Black Shadow attaches a bomb to like Captain Falcon's Blue Falcon, so you have to go a certain speed during the race or else you die.
Oh,
because it's like speed.
Oh god. So to be honest, I couldn't beat the second level of story mode, so I never...
the second level of story mode?
Unapologetically hard, yeah.
Unapologetically hard. Like, a lot of games are afraid to do that now. And I mean, I get it. You gotta make your game marketable. But like, Dark Souls is big. What if like F-Zero was like the Dark Souls of racing games?
Did you do that on purpose, or...
No.
Okay. Because that's the video game reviewer trope. It's the Dark Souls of...
Oh, I know that.
Insert genre here.
I know that, but like, if Nintendo really wanted to get those gamer bucks, that's all they'd have for advertising.
Racing games don't need a Dark Souls, but oh boy.
Here it is. Well, listen, Life Sim games didn't need Animal Crossing either, but here we are.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if I had a Life Sim game that was like cute animal characters instead of whatever the Sims are supposed to be, I would buy it if I didn't have a real life where I actually had to pull weeds and do taxes.
That's true, yeah.
The one thing keeping me from playing Animal Crossing is my own actual life.
I don't have enough time for a fake life.
Right.
I have my real life to go live.
So when I go play a fake life, I play Monster Hunter, which is a world I wish I could live in.
Mm-hmm. Because that's not a life sim, that's a life dream right there. I wish I was flying around on this wire bug, destroying huge monkey men.
Well, Monster Hunter's world, you want to talk about like an attitude. You want to talk about games that have a really discernible mood and tone, right? Monster Hunter, what I love about the Monster Hunter series is that you have this world where everything is lethal. Every one of these creatures could end a civilization in an afternoon if they wanted to, right? That's a bit of an exaggeration. Obviously, those of you who are in the audience like, oh, Great Baggy can't end a civilization. Like, yeah, I know. But all of these monsters are like apex predators in their own environment until a bigger, more apex predator shows up.
A bigger dragon shows up to eat the smaller dragon.
Yeah, exactly. But, but no one in the world is sad. No one in the world is like upset.
They're not paralyzed by fear.
It's not a grimdark world either, where everyone's like a hardened badass, It's not like
where the light is lost.
No. It's quite the opposite. Like every NPC in Monster Hunter is goofy. There's a girl in Monster Hunter 4 who has a crush on one of the monsters because she thinks it's cute, and it most certainly is not. But, I don't know. You could make an argument that Brachydios is cute.
Hey, we don't kink shame here.
We don't kink shame here. He licks his paws and stuff. He's kind of cute.
Okay.
And there's this elder dragon, Genmoran, which is massive. It's like a whale that swims through the sand.
Okay.
And it has these big tusks in front, right? When Gen shows up, like, this thing's approach, it will barrel through the town and destroy everything. But the town doesn't mobilize in a panic.
No.
Because it's a celebration. When Genmoran shows up, it's like a harvest festival or like an abundance ceremony.
Yeah, because he's here.
Yeah, he's here. Now, we need, like, a crew of our best sea boat people and 4 of our most competent hunters to go kill it so that instead of dying, we can have a party. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. That's Monster Hunter's whole world. Instead of dying,
let's have a party.
And that's the whole world. It's beautiful.
These are the 2 options that we have.
So why not lean really hard and put all our money on party?
Yeah. And it's working. This is a series that's succeeding in spite of itself.
Yeah. It's great. And Monster Hunter had a rocky start.
Yeah, it definitely had a rocky start.
In Monster Hunter 1, you controlled your weapon with the other analog stick.
The claw. You got the claw.
Oh my god. Monster Hunter went through several iterations of being not great. Monster Hunter wasn't, like, accessibly playable until the 3rd generation.
And we weren't even getting every game. We were only getting the ultimate versions.
We were only getting the better versions, right? But Monster Hunter has survived, I think, probably because it carved out a really niche core fandom, and then it just continued to appease them.
It rested on its laurels.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, feeling the need to innovate when they didn't need to, or changing up the marketing tactic in a poor way, they just kept doing what they did well. And I think that we're starting, like, through this conversation, we're starting to see where these things can go wrong. Where a dev or a marketing company can choose something, like, can choose to take the wrong lessons from a success. And then it not, like, when a game, like, let's say a video game, right? Or even any sort of media property fails, right? Like, yeah, it's gone, but it leaves a bigger wake than just no more Rhythm Heaven games or no more Bionicle. Like, the fans are now isolated. The people who worked on it are now out of a job. The memories that were created cannot be passed down as easily. Like, it creates more of a ripple than affects the companies that create the ripple in the first place. You know, like the person who tosses the stone into the lake, what it does after they toss it doesn't affect them, but it sure does affect the lake a whole bunch. And this is what happens. You know, we're left high and dry with all these great things that we want to share with people, and it's not easy to do so. So I think it's really valuable when we get a series like Monster Hunter that is succeeding, that is thriving.
Actually thriving.
Yeah, like literally thriving. And I think that that's something worth celebrating. Because, like, there are so many series that don't get to thrive. So...
Because Monster Hunter as a franchise, death or party.
Death or party! And they've been pushing party the entire time. And everybody finally had noticed.
It's good, yeah, and like all the friends that I get into Monster Hunter, they carry that spirit with them. Like I got a good friend who, who's working on recipes from Monster Hunter, just because the spirit of like their goofy little world has rubbed off on her so much, you know? Monster Hunter Rise has one of the most like outright malicious monsters in it.
Okay.
And before you go on a fight, the little girl in the village sings a song about making dango before she feeds you. Every single time.
Can you skip it?
You can.
Okay.
Most people, I mean, a lot of people that I know don't.
Skip it.
You know, one of the kids I work with who's somehow gotten into the game sings along.
That's good. That's really good.
But yeah, so like the other people at you know who watch the game, right? It's like, so here's one scene where a little girl is singing you a song as she makes dango, and then in the next scene you're getting exploded by like an armored tiger. As like really intense dramatic music plays in the background.
This is like if in the Street Fighter V online queue lobby, while you're waiting to be matched up, you had to play like tic-tac-toe with someone. And like it was like very cutesy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like we're having a really nice game of tic-tac-toe. This horrible game where the person who starts always wins. It's like, oh no, now like tiger knee.
Oh.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Man. So yeah, you led this when asking about Harmonite or Town.
I know. I was completely incorrect.
But
I thought it would be really funny if I was right, though.
It would have been really funny. But I do have something to say about Town.
Oh, no.
Which is kind of the opposite problem that we're talking about.
Oh, here's how little I've cared about that game, though. I'm still using the beta name. It got a full name, right?
Little Town Story. So almost the same name.
Well, it had Town in it, yeah.
It does have Town in it.
I figured it would still have Town in it.
It still does. So, Town, I'm just going to call it Town too. Little Town Story has the opposite problem of what we're talking about, where, you know, company decides to drop an IP that's you know, well tested and well read and everything. Little Town Story, I'm not going to mince my words here, fucking sucks. The creative, quote unquote, I'm putting it in quotes, battle system is bad.
Oh.
It's not a good battle system.
And Toby Fox did it
Toby
better.
Fox couldn't save it. They tapped into fucking media mogul, Sakurai Destroyer, multi-millionaire Toby Fox to make the whole goddamn OST for this game.
Oh.
The whole fucking thing.
Oh.
And it's bad. Well, the game is bad. The OST commits Toby's greatest sin, which is that a lot of his songs can feel very samey. Especially if he produces a bunch of them at once. I guess like the asterisk here that leads to like the Wikipedia at the bottom is like see Homestuck discography. That'll be my episode. I'm gonna let you have a Bionicle episode. You're gonna have to let me have a Homestuck episode.
All right. I actually have like not bad things to say entirely about Homestuck, so I'm down.
I do too.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, me too. So Little Town Story is a game where Game Freak was like, let's make something new, and then they did it bad. They just did a horrible job. Like the graphical fidelity is bad. The artistic direction is not great. The creativity on display by the team at Game Freak is just not there. And so I don't know why they did it. Like I get that like Game Freak has been creatively stifled because they've been forced to do Pokemon for 25 years because it's the most popular thing in the goddamn planet. But like if this is what they do when they aren't doing Pokemon, I'd rather them just keep doing Pokemon.
Yeah, don't split the team up again.
Yeah, don't split the party when you have like the rogue and the cleric die immediately as soon as they leave. Like that's what Little Town Story feels like. Little Town Story feels like the corpse of a game that could have been. Like it's all half baked ideas, and that's it's incredible to me that game was released in the way that it was. Like, I don't know a soul that exists that has multiple good things to say about Little Town Story. It came and went, and no one's going to talk about it ever again. Despite it being a fucking Toby Fox joint.
Game Freak and Toby Fox, right? Like, knock it out of the park, right?
Yeah, like, you put those two things on paper, and you... No, the fact that there are two projects that fit that bill already is incredibly surprising.
Right.
But you put Game Freak and Toby Fox on a piece of paper, and you're like, that's probably going to be good, right? Both times it's been mediocre.
Yeah, I mean...
Like...
What was the other time?
Sword and Shield.
Oh, that's right. Well, he's got one song in Sword and Shield.
Still,
right?
That's incredible.
Sure.
Well,
I thought there was a more deliberate collaboration.
Well, we don't know that.
Oh, true.
Like, what if James got in there? What if James was like, "Hey, Toby, give me some ideas"?
Are you insinuating that James Turner, creature designer for Pokemon,
yes,
was like,
"Hey, you know that volcano with the butt you made? That's pretty funny. You want to give me some monster ideas?"
Wow. Insinuating that Toby Fox is giving under-the-table Pokemon designs to James Turner. I mean, that I wouldn't not believe it if you told me that happened, but, you know.
Listen, we've got a Pokemon that's a hat.
James is a funny little British man with an incredibly cute art style.
Yeah.
He seems like a very thoroughly creative person. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of reasons to collaborate. I'm sure that he would have been like, "Hey, you're another creative type. I think it would be very fun if, you know." As much as I loathe James Turner's insistence on turning food into living, breathing things,
looking at you, Milcery.
I have to appreciate and respect him as a creator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying that he wouldn't have asked for other collaboration or ideas. I wouldn't say that that's out of the question. I just think that James Turner as a person, this is my take, is that he's perfectly capable of filling an entire Pokedex,
same.
You know, in half a day.
Yeah, I believe you. I fully agree that James is more than qualified for the job that he's been given. That being said, we have confirmation that he just goes to Sakurai's house.
Toby Fox?
Yes.
Well, yes.
So,
yeah,
that's the level of person we're working with.
Toby Fox ran away from his fans to hang out with
the people he's fans of.
Right.
Well, and I think it might be an abusive relationship kind of thing, because the last time he did that, he got stuck in their basement.
Yikes. Masahiro Sakurai. Alright, Toby Fox, you must live in my basement until I can beat you at Smash.
Deltarune releases. This is the deal he's made with whatever demon. He gets to make these cultural phenomena games at the cost of having to live in someone he idolizes basement.
Oh.
How did we get here?
I don't know. Well, okay. We managed to get to an anchor point where Toby Fox was relevant, and then we just dove.
Because there's a lot to say.
Yeah. That's a man whose life I admire and do not envy.
Oh no. So I don't know him personally.
Sure, of course not. We're talking about the celebrity Toby Fox that.
But I existed in the same spaces as him, and saw him in the equivalent. What's a current live chat system? I'm going to say the words IRC, and they're not going to mean anything to a majority of our listeners.
I know. All that comes to mind is Habbo Hotel, but that's only because I revisited the Internet Historian episode a couple of weeks ago,
which is very hilarious, by the way.
Right.
I love his accent so much.
He's very much the correct person to be doing that kind of content.
Dear listeners, there was this program called IRC, Internet Relay Chat is what I believe it was called. It was essentially a program you would download for your computer, and you could enter a chat room, which was a place where lots of people were talking in real time, and they had usernames. So, there were lots of different IRC channels. One of them was for a website called starman.net, which is a website for Earthbound fans, which I am one of, and so is Mr. Toby Fox. So I would be in the IRC chat with him at the same time.
Oh.
So I never knew him personally.
Sure.
But I would be talking in the same IRC chat as him. And he was a very anxious man. Very anxious, very not... very internet wacky, the same as we all were if we existed on the internet as teenagers in 2007. That kind of internet wacky.
Ah, yes, the DeviantArt era.
Mm-hmm. That's where he comes from. So, I don't envy him. I don't envy his position in the world right now. As an anxious young man with an army of followers who want to take his IP from his cold dead hands.
Yeah, no, that's a recipe for anxiety for sure. Mr. Dr. Executive Director Fox has every right to be doing what he's doing.
That's also why he hasn't shown his face in public since then.
Yeah.
Like, every time he's in public, he either has, like, a dumb little dog face on, or just isn't in public.
Yeah.
So, that's his life now. Maybe one day he'll become Sakurai and just never leave his home.
I don't know if that's by choice on Sakurai's part.
I'm starting to feel like even when he's allowed back into the office, he might still be doing directs from his house just because it's fun.
Yeah, it's cute.
He seems to be having a good time.
Yeah, I definitely like the weird, like, dry delivery.
Yeah. I think Sakurai has a special place in the industry right now. As, like, this celebrity, one of the celebrity devs. Like, he's up there with Hideo Kojima. Like, where they're both these these developers that, like, transcend their works.
Sure, because they're I mean, with Kojima, it's because he's a madman, and because, like, when someone makes a game series like Metal Gear, you want to know the man behind it, you know. And with Sakurai, I think it's just that he's chosen to lead Smash by being very much in the front, like, line of view.
Well, and also he's unafraid to be weird.
Yeah, that like, too.
He's unafraid to be as weird as he normally is. We also have to remember that the weird voice for DDD in Smash Brothers, that's Sakurai.
Oh.
Those weird grunts, that's him just, like, going in there.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's so low.
Those are just voices he can make.
Bizarre.
But speaking of Kojima, this is a little unrelated to where we began this conversation.
Oh, we'll find our way back.
But we've been meandering for a while now. Kojima has transcended the idea of a developer so hard that when a game comes out that is even somewhat weird, people think it's a secret Kojima game.
Secret Kojima game?
Where they assume that he's doing it under a pseudonym.
Oh.
And there are devs that are like, they have to come out and they have to be like, I'm not Hideo Kojima.
It is me, Mr. Developer-san. I am not Hideo Kojima.
I don't know him. I'm not. Please don't buy my game thinking I'm Hideo Kojima. Please just buy my game because you want my game.
You don't have to plug your controller into Player 2. You won't. The light in the tunnel won't get better as you sit still to simulate your eyes adjusting to the dark.
There won't be a man in this video game named Die Hard Man.
And I don't know Norman Reedus.
And Conan O'Brien will not be in this video game.
Wait, Conan O'Brien was in what?
Death Stranding.
What?
He's not Conan, but in Death Stranding, to boil down the plot of the video game Death Stranding to its bare essentials, you're a delivery person in the apocalypse. And so you go from settlement to settlement over, like, uninhabitable places to deliver things to people. And one of the people you deliver things to is literally just fucking Conan O'Brien in the video game. Because he's friends with Hideo Kojima.
Every time Conan O'Brien comes up, I realize how staggeringly little I know about the man.
He's more prolific than I ever assumed him to be.
Right, that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Like, also, especially in the video game space, because we're talking about video games tonight, like, Conan O'Brien has done a multi-year long series on video games now, where he, as like a relative newbie to the idea of video games, has just tried playing video games.
Oh.
And he's getting on devs and other video game people on his show. And they're like, tell me about this. This is a big part of culture now, and I don't know about it, so tell me about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What a cool approach.
Yeah, he's trying to get into it as a real relative outsider, which is actually something that doesn't happen super often. Like, I think about, like, I'm an adult, right? But I think about a lot of the people who are, like, double my age or older, and I'm like, why would they ever play a video game at this point if they don't already play video games?
Yeah.
How do we get them into it? It's not likely. And that's something really interesting for me to think about. Like, there's, like, an entire half of the population, I'm going to say, that, like, will never touch a video game.
Sure.
So, like, how do you market something how do you market something to a demographic that is already splintered? And that is already going to be splintered further by... Oh my god, I just made a realization about why projects get dropped.
Oh.
Because when Nintendo was like, we're going to make a video game, right? They're like, okay, well, number one, the only people who are going to buy this video game are under the age of 30. So that's already not a huge market. So we need to sell as many copies as possible to that market. Well, okay, Mario's a given. But like, okay, well, what if we did a new Rhythm Heaven? You know that not that many people are going to buy a new Rhythm Heaven. We can't do that. So Paul Nintendo... John Nintendo...
We gotta start coming up with whatever the equivalents of John and Bob are in Japanese, because it feels weird.
Mr. Sakurai.
I guess, right? But, like, do you ever wonder about that? Like, what's the most generic name in other cultures?
I think I used to know it for Japan, and I just don't anymore.
Okay.
But Mr. Nintendo says, well, we are already splintering the market so much. You know, we're not in the days of the Wii, where every adult... or almost every household in America had a Wii. You know, the Switch is doing well for a video game console, but it's not doing well as a consumer product. It's not iPhone saturation. Like, so when they make a game and when they choose to invest a bunch of money into a game, they have to make sure that they're going to get a good return on it. And sadly, I think that games like F-Zero, games with a lot of attitude and a lot of aesthetic alone aren't going to sell themselves anymore. And you know what? I don't know what made them willing to take more risks in like the GameCube era, because like by all accounts the GameCube did horribly. But
the GameCube had some of the best games of all time.
They still took the risks for it. Like, you could buy Cubivore. Like,
the hell is that?
Cubivore is a game where like you go through stages of evolution with block animals. It sounds rad as hell.
All right.
Like, they just took risks from the GameCube. But since the Wii, they've been very reluctant to take risks. And I don't know why. Maybe we'll never know. But, you know, I think that's how we came full circle.
Yeah. We had to go on this long walk to get your answer.
Mm-hmm.
And this walk happened to stop by several Japanese game developers and
one living in Japan.
Yeah.
In a hard left turn segment, we have a viewer mail.
Yes.
We do.
It's time.
Let me pull that up for us right now. What were you going to say?
I was going to say real quick before we jump into viewer mail.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any patch notes from last week?
I believe that we do. Let me pull those up as well.
I think the order probably doesn't matter, but I feel like the viewer mail is more ceremonious at the end.
Yeah, so we'll do... okay, so the first patch note is... we were talking about Eastern philosophy last week.
Oh... I totally didn't look that up.
I didn't either.
I totally didn't look that up.
So we can have a patch note for our patch note.
Sure. All right. Next week.
So we'll double down.
Next
and we'll
week,
lead with it.
I'm gonna figure out what Eastern philosophy is. The Allspark is derived from.
So we'll double down on our patch note. We'll double our coins.
Okay.
By doubling down on our patch note. So we'll put that in the docket. And now I am pulling up our next viewer mail. So we have a repeat visitor. This viewer mail is from Vorpal, and it's titled Smash Reveal Trailer Concept.
Oh boy.
Yep, we're talking about Smash Reveal trailers.
Alright, Smash symbol comes across the screen.
Okay, Smash logo transition. Opens with Pit. He's tumbling across battlefield. Bayonetta struts past him, yawning while holding her trademark guns from the second game, Love is Blue. Dark Pit readies an arrow from the air. Bayonetta notices and fires away at him. Dark Pit yells as he plummets down. Bayonetta chuckles and grins confidently. Palutena descends from the skies, attempting to swipe with her staff. Bayonetta dodges using Bat Within, teleporting behind the goddess and delivering a swift kick to her, sending her off stage. A brief pause. Bayonetta sighs at a disappointment. Gunfire rains downward rapidly above Bayonetta, though she narrowly avoids it. Smoke forms as the gunner lands on the ground dramatically, before quickly panning in on a smug grin. This party's getting crazy. Let's rock! Zoom in. Dante hits the jackpot.
Yo!
That's good. That's a good reveal trailer concept right there.
Boy.
I like that a lot. That is thank you, Vorpal. That's incredible.
You have the food chain there of the witch hunting the angels, and then
the fake angel, and then the goddess.
Yeah.
Did you know that in Kid Icarus Uprising they call Dark Pit Pit 2?
Yes.
It's hilarious.
I don't know how anyone got away with that name.
Because that's a Sakurai joint.
I guess so.
And they can do whatever they want. That is a game that I really admire that I'm never going to play.
Yeah. I'm glad it did well.
I'm glad it did well enough, too. It didn't do super well, but it did well enough. But, dear listener, if you would like to send an email to us, we'll still take your Smash Reveal trailer concept.
If that's all we do, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, like, that could be the segment. If you want to send us an email about a property you love that has languished or is being mismanaged, that's it's still coolcast@gmail.com.
Like Demon's Souls, that's 2 S's back to back. It's still cool.
Cast@gmail.com. And with that, I think that's going to be the end of our episode this week.
All right. I have been Jesse.
And I have been Tony.
Ha! I said my name first this time.
You did it. You took it from me.
I got it.
Finally, your Quick Claw activated. And even if something you love is languishing, please remember that it's still cool.